97.5 FM. It's all about you.
U97.5 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
Every Sunday, the country comes together they hear the newsmakers discuss the matters that impact your life. The discussion takes place from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on U975 Multicultural Radio. Talks directly to the people in the news. Don't miss 10 to 1 this and every Sunday only on U97 Multicultural Radio.
It's about 10 minutes after 10 a.m. this Sunday morning. Pretty wet one in most parts of Trinidad and Tobago. We hope you are safe. If you're on the road, be very, very cautious. Drive defensively. Thank you very much for staying with us on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper Multicultural Radio, this first Sunday in the second half of the year in the month of July. We appreciate you being with us. It's the name of the program, as the theme song says, is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this pre-election season, we talk the issues of the day. We thank you again for being with us, and we thank Shazad for his program, as always, very well researched and very entertaining. And as we had anticipated, tribute to Sam Budram, who died over the last a few days ago. And Duki, I'm Ken Ali, thanking you for being with us. And we hope you are safe wherever you are. It's raining in many parts of the country. The roads are very wet. We are also on YouTube, and Shiva Parasram is here, and he is the one who has us on the YouTube. So tell you the channel, youtube.com, RCLU975. You can 75radio.com. And of course, you know that on the radio dial 975 FM. Okay. We have a lot to share on this Sunday morning. First and foremost, of course, we want to urge you to be very safe on the roads or wherever you are. When we left you last, and I and Shiva, we told you we anticipated that an election date would have been called. The Parliament was due to meet, the House of Representatives was due to meet on the Friday. The Senate was meeting as we spent it on Friday, and despite the view expressed by many that it was going to be a late election, our view was the Prime Minister, for several reasons, would call the election early, and so said, so done, at the end of a brief session in which there was an order. The House sitting dealt with an order. I just want to spend 30 seconds on that, for the takeover or acquisition of 2 lots of land up in the Mayaro area. Those 2 lots of land were taken over by the state in the year 1995 to build a bridge. And the year 2020, the Parliament in its final is that I hope there is compensation for those landowners, but of course, you never know. 25 years after, that's the way governance works. So when we get, as we would during this campaign season, to talk about manifesto promises, it's one of the features we want to introduce as we head to the election. You would hear a lot about what has been promises and the pace at which governance works in Trinidad and Tobago. Before we go on, your calls are already coming in, but we will take your calls. We're here for 3 hours, and of course, we're here throughout the week, but we'll get to your calls in a little while. I just want to lay out a few of the matters we've been talking about, we would be talking about, and give a little backdrop to a number of things, which are because we're going to tell you some of the things that's been happening in the camps, the respective camps for the general election. So on just after 3 p.m. on Friday, the Prime Minister made the announcement. You would have, if you were on to our station, you would have heard it first here. We broke the news within 3 minutes of announcement. So the general election date, as the Prime Minister announced, is August 10th. The nomination day is as early as, of course, on the 17th. And he did as was required under the Constitution to give 35 days notice in case, but he gave 38 days. He was required to give 35 snap election. There's nothing in it that is a snap election. It is constitutionally required that an election be held at this time. So I don't want to spend any time on that. And please don't call and tell us it's a snap election. Right. So that is what happened after that. Well, in the midst of that, the evening before, the People's National Movement, the ruling party, confirmed Mr. Keith Scotland as its candidate for Port of Spain South. He is an attorney, a city-based attorney, somebody with a name presence. You know, he replaced Cleopatra Borrell, the shot putter, who, of quality. So the PNM was ready, and yesterday it regrouped. It held a meeting at the government campus where all the candidates and the campaign managers and so on held a lengthy session under the chair of the national campaign manager, Rohan Sinanan. That meeting was a lengthy meeting, went for over 3 hours, I'm told, at which they discussed the deployment of resources, IT, and so on, and so forth, and so on. So we talk more about the PNM. In terms of the UNC, it had previously named 17 candidates, if I have it right. 16 or 17? 17, right. The party is leader, Mrs. Pasad Bisesa, scheduled a meeting for 2 p.m., staggered hours for the incumbents to discuss, well, let's put it, their fate, their political fate. The meeting didn't begin until after 6 p.m. So those are some facts. Now, heading into the meeting, it went pretty late. And there has been no formal announcement. Let me make that very clear. There has been no formal announcement from the camp of the United National Congress. What we're hearing, and I think this has been confirmed, Anne, is that there is going to be a virtual media launch tonight of candidates, yes, and this evening on television and radio and so on, at which the candidates would all be announced. To say it again, that the PNM will give
22 seats.
Right. We give you a backdrop of what's happening with the PNM. We're telling you now about your facts, and we're going to get into some speculation now. Well, it's more than speculation. I wouldn't come on the air and suggest what I don't know as fact, but at least 4. Okay, before we get to at least 4, you would
Prakash Ramadan.
Prakash Ramadan, of course. Out of that, now the party had not announced any other candidates outside of the 17, the opposition leader and the leader of the party, saying that the incumbents, she did not want to name candidates, while we had incumbents representing the constituents in the parliament and outside of the parliament. Well, our information is at least 4, and they are, as we have it, Dr. Bo Tiwari, the Member of Parliament for Caroni Central, Fazal Karim, the Member of Parliament for Shogunas East, Ramona Ramdial, the Member of Parliament for Couva North, and Christine Nualu Hussein, the Member of Parliament for Kumoto Manzanilla. At least 4. Of course, there are several others we have speculation on. We have heard reports, but I am not in a position to be as confident about them to come and say it on public radio. But to indicate again that a media meeting for this evening and this on this frequency, we would give you updates as we always do as they take place. So that's the backdrop to what is happening in terms of the politics. We are happy again. Anne and I did say it's going to be earlier rather than later, and we continue in propaganda and so on. We're telling you when we could confirm and corroborate what is happening. Now, before we go on, let's tell you we have a jam-packed program as always. In fact, as we go on, not just today, we are planning to talk pourings and so on. We're going to tell you in a very clinical way because we think you have a responsibility and you want to know the facts as you head to August 10th to exercise your franchise. Now, I just want to refer briefly to the newspapers. And I want to start with The Guardian. Here's the headline, these things always fascinate me, Here's the headline. So they have another plot to kill the commissioner. But, the killing of a police commissioner is a very serious and a very grave thing, and it's nothing to sneeze at and nothing to dismiss. But police says his responsibility is to protect the nation. The commissioner, you're not doing particularly good. All right? You're not doing particularly well. All right? 231. But here's the lead story. Alexander, that is ASP Roger Alexander, sought officers also targeted ex-military involved and so on. All right. Parties in gear, they tell us. And then, I forgot to say this in my opening statement. So the Guardian's also reporting what I had heard. Padarath hoping, the Guardian says Padarath hoping to come home. My information is that MP for Princestown, Barry Padarath, is due to come back to Trinidad on Wednesday. So he would be in line for and so on. So that is my information. And if that is proven to be incorrect, of course, we'll come back and tell you that. But I don't expect that will be the case, right? So that's the lead story in the one newspaper. The other one tells us PCA moves on police killings. Well. I support the Prime Minister on this, although something has to be done in terms of up to strength to deliver on its mandate. The Prime Minister telling us in his press conference, when was that, Anne? On Thursday, that criticized the PCA not getting things to Parliament to make this thing right. And there's another institution in decay and in decline. So the PCA moves on police killings. It sounds almost a fallacious type headline, really, because there's a mandate, there's news. It should be that they should give us a deadline with the people of Trinidad and Tobago, who paying them when they will get these investigations completed. And I'm not just talking about the 3 youths from Second Caledonia in Morva, but all the investigations they've been doing. Right, and it's election time when cutting ribbon, but you want a ribbon they're cutting lately. So they formally opened, I want the ribbons they're cutting to complete projects or to start projects. Anyway, it is always good, it is great news that we have a hospital in Point Forte after many years. I think it is Dr. Williams who first promised us that. So it is in full use, and that is a matter we'll come back and report to you on. All right, and the Prime Minister using that opportunity to score some political points and criticizing the UNC on its tax plan and so on. Just probably one more headline before we move on, and this is the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Roshan Parasram, making it clear. As we ought to know, no mask, no vote, and so on. And so therefore, be prepared to put on your mask as you go to exercise your franchise, and that there would be guidelines in mask or face shields worn by both voters and voting staff, sanitization or washing of hands before entering the center, and sanitizing before and after setup. But this is the state of affairs now, and that's just what it is. And in addition to that, we should not anticipate the country's borders reopening at this time. Okay. There are other things we could talk about, crime and we must spend a little time talking about the Sugrim, who ran a pharmacy called Fit for Life Pharmacy in Chase Village. His body was discovered at 1 p.m. on Friday in the upper floor of the pharmacy at Southern Main Road. and initial reports said that he had died by suicide. Did not observe any signs of and so on. Well, did not observe any signs of forced entry and so on. But when they checked, they found a large sum of money was missing, several items and so on and so forth. And from all reports, including some of our colleagues, have said that he was an outstanding and distinguished person. And we extend our deepest condolences. It's another person who's lost his life, in this very violent country of ours. And gone down in Tobago. Well, that was a broad hint of what was going to happen to him. The man named Crime Boss, well, that's his nickname, right? It's the fifth murder in Tobago for the year. He's a 27-year-old man named Alvian Nurse. But I like his nickname, the man named Crime Boss.
The boss
So,
of crime.
he's the boss of crime. So, and guess how he died. Okay.
You live and die by the
Right.
sword.
So this is these are some of the headlines. We will get into some commentary in the press and so on as we go on. The lines are, as the DJs like to say, the lines are burning up. But I want us to take a break. When we come back, we have some analysis from our top political scientists. We have much more from several people today. We'll take your calls as we always do. And our studio. One of the candidates who has emerged, and somebody with some name recognition and so on. I'm anxious to exchange with him, and of course we'll take all your calls. So at 10:24 on a wet Sunday morning, it's the 5th day of July 2020. We thank you very much for being with us wherever you are. If you are a belated 4th of July Independence Day to you, we wish you the best. Your election is coming up pretty soon, but ours is a little ahead of yours. We have a lot of listeners from various parts of the world, and I imagine even more now, and as we head into the general election. Our responsibility, I just want to tell you, we'll be doing a lot of coverage, and we want to tell it as it is, fair and balanced, and bring as many people as possible to our microphones. And we're starting, we've done it all the past, but we expect one of the candidates from one of the so-called smaller parties with us. We're going to do a lot of analysis, and we're going to get your take as we move on. So at 10:24, we take a brief break, and we come right back.
Well, I'm back, continually fall in the gutter. Well, you see my position and the police in the area.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location inside JTA Supermarket, C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando. They offer blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Carry Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited: RS Building, Rocha Douglas Road, Barrackpore; GN Building in Pinal; and C3 Center, Current Village, San Fernando.
For quality items, visit Super Quality Supermarket of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket, Cuba Car Park, for all your grocery items, liquor, fresh fruits, and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath section, and kitchen appliances for your home. With so many items to choose, great prices and discounts at any of our 3 locations in Trin City, Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Cuba. For quality items, Super Quality Supermarket and Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket.
10:26 in Trinidad and Tobago. Pretty wet day in most parts of the country, as we've been urging you. Be very safe wherever you are, especially if you're on the roads. We told you we want to start with some analysis, and an important person in all of this is Dr. Indira Rampasad. When we interviewed her last, several callers said they were very happy to have her on the airwaves, and that we should continue to speak with her. Well, we're happy to have her on the line. Good morning, Indira.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
What is the time of the season? People like yourself get very excited about national affairs. What do you think about the election date? Is that something you had anticipated?
Yes, I expected it to be in August. One could have seen all the signs of preparation by the government in particular. There were a lot of election bells ringing. So I wouldn't say that I am very surprised. No.
Now, does it give any particular party an advantage? Does the PNM have an
I don't think so. I don't think so because it came in the wake of a lot of riots and instability in the city, in Port of Spain, and even through other parts of the country. And both parties had completed their screening. Prasad Bissetto just had to name some of them, which she will do today. So I don't think it's a great advantage. Prasad Bissetto pointed out that in 2010 she had just about 5 weeks campaign. And at that time, there was a lot of ground campaigning being done. So, politics is like a lifetime. So, the 5 weeks is plenty time. Oh, we have a number of them, interesting. And like I said, I didn't put much importance to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of those that I think is overrated to a large extent because I don't think a voter, when they get into the voting booth, is going to think about COVID. Important issue, and I have highlighted it before, is apart from the ethnic factor, which is always there, and that's then. I think the economy it surpasses everything else because of what was happening in the last 5 years. You know, the people are saying change overnight, and why we would say that it is still there is because we have two ethnic bases and we have what we would call safe seats. Okay, so base seats, safe seats, whatever we want to call them, and those will go back to the parties. So Chaguanas West, Cuba North, Cuba South. Who would you predict they're going to, and why? So the prediction is clearly they're going to the UNC because they are Indo-based. And similarly, we have in Port of Spain, we have Port of Spain North, Port of Spain South, St. Annecy. You know, these constituencies will go to the PNM automatically. I mean, one doesn't even
So therefore, there are no political issues for them. They don't care about the economy and crime and so on then?
They do, and there will be there will be members of some constituents who will be concerned about that, but it would not impact because of the overwhelming majority who are voting on the basis of ethnicity.
All right. I want to ask about two blocks of voters. One, the middle class. Who speaks to the middle class, and is there any of the two major parties speaking to the middle class?
Both of
How?
them.
Tell us some of the indications of it.
Okay, so firstly, the PNM, basically, I don't want to call it a policy, but it stands for proposal on crime, and that whole issue this week in Port of Spain South. The police went in and these people were killed in Laventille and whatnot. That is really an attempt to deal with crime, which the middle class are very upset about. Now, the whole population is but the middle class, include the business sector. So they have been seriously affected by crime. So I think the attempt to clamp down in Port of Spain South and the riots that we saw as a result, as a repercussion, is the ruling party attempting to court the middle class there.
That alone. In other words, if there were not these protests, is it that the PNM would not have been speaking to the middle class?
It's a good question. It's a good question, Ken, because whether it will work or not, I can't say at this last moment.
So the UNC, what is the UNC doing to woo the middle class?
I don't know if you would have seen it, but there was a sort of manifesto video on TV one night. And it was really good because it was reporting, it was designed to court people in the corridor, which is more for a lower class. But she's also talked a lot about taxes, income taxes, VAT, corporation tax, VAT returns. She's talked a lot about it. These are factors, and the property tax, then, which is a real middle class phenomenon because most of she's been talking about revising or removing that, reducing income tax and reducing corporation tax.
And you've seen the Prime Minister respond yesterday to that.
Yeah, well, he is responding to everything she is saying. That was one of the factors that I think would have contributed to Prasad Bissetto's victory, widespread victory, because she was able to capture the middle class because of that. So that is a big issue. The whole issue of income tax and people not even getting back their income tax refund. A lot of people that are waiting on refunds for the last 2 years and they didn't get it. Then the VAT returns from the business sector. They have been very, very upset. But more than just VAT returns, Ken. The economy was virtually stagnant. You go to the malls, you see the malls empty. It was really a different feeling in the last 5 years. And the unemployment rate was very called that a middle class phenomenon. It's because it's a lot of educated people that are unemployed. My students who are graduating by the hundreds and thousands in the university, they have no jobs. People with master's degrees, they have no jobs. And these are potential middle class people.
I want to ask you about the candidates you've seen so far. I know we have one full slate, another, and some from the small parties. Now, we'll talk about the small parties in a little while. I just want you for now to give us your take on the candidates off so far.
Well, basically, Prasad Bisesa has named the marginals. So we have David Naked in Tunapuna, we have Hunch in St. Joseph, we have Saddam Hussein in Tower Barataria, Michelle Benjamin in Moruga. She named one or two others. I think she'll go on the best. Not familiar with that candidate much, but
but what is your analysis? I want your analysis.
These candidates, well,
yes, on both sides. On both sides.
Yes. So I think the PNM has retained more incumbents, in a lot of them. Today we will know for sure if who has retained their seat. I think they know already because she had called them yesterday in the UNC. But I think the idea of fresh new faces is good for the UNC. There was a widespread call for her to get rid of people, older people around her and all that. Now, there is a little disadvantage there in that they have experience. They have tremendous experience and they might be more familiar with the constituents. But if there is goodwill, if there is good with the new candidates.
But isn't it more than just knowing the constituents, Indira? Isn't it about institutional knowledge and people could run a country in a time of crisis?
Well, I did mention to you, Ken, that 39 MPs cannot run a country, or 41 as the case may be. They cannot run a country. A country is not run by MPs, to start with. Some MPs are given ministerial portfolios, and that will be totally up to whoever the Prime Minister is, whether it's Dr. Rowley or Prasad Bisesa. They determine who gets what ministry to the MPs, and they really suppose their primary function is to service the constituencies. When you talk about running a country, you're looking at the bureaucracy. You are looking at the structure of the government, right? So you're looking at the executive, legislature, and judiciary, the three arms of government on the one hand, but the bureaucracy is most critical because the bureaucracy speaks to the ministries and the public service. Okay, so the various sectors therein, including the police and the military, more than MPs, 39 MPs. That requires a lot of technical knowledge.
Yeah, but just one. In the rubber decision-making body in the country is the cabinet. The cabinet is made up historically largely of elected representatives. You're suggesting that is going to change?
The cabinet, I don't think it will change, but I think that there are going to be people being brought in as senators with much more experience than they probably going to be. Some senators could be ministers as well. There are also going to be technical advisors and advisors being brought in. And I think some of these older people who did not get their seats, you must agree, people complain all the time that their MPs, they don't see them for 5 years and they only come around during election time and they don't have time to service their constituencies and all that. And one of the reasons for that is because they're so busy doing government work or ministerial work, so to speak.
All right. What the smaller parties? We've historically had this issue of third parties. Now it appears this year we're going to have more than we had the last 2 years in the last coalition of sorts, anti-PNM coalition. There are several standalone parties. Are they going to have an impact?
No. As I said, a categorical no. Ken, you have been through this election after election after election. Right now, I don't know who is the third party. I see third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I don't know in what order. To be honest,
could they affect, because historically Indira, all votes from the anti-PNM forces, are they going to affect in the swing constituencies?
I do not think so. Ken, I really, honestly, do not think so. Why? Because they can't garner enough to do that. You see how much the votes come in. I mean, I have been on election commentary, election after election. 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, some of them are not even field-in candidates in all the constituencies. Most of them are not because they don't have the resources. Can you tell me where the Ethiopia are field-in candidates at this point? Because I do not know. That's supposed to be the third party. MSJ field-in a few. What we have, some progress. What you see, people are not even familiar with these parties. No, I do not see them as a force to be reckoned with. I do not see them splitting votes. I do not see them garnering enough votes in the marginal constituencies to make a difference.
Now, this is going to be a different campaign, Indira. There's not going to be much outdoor activity. It's going to be a short campaign. In fact, radically different from that of 2015. The 2015 campaign went on and on. In fact, the election...
3 months.
Sorry?
3 months.
More than 3 months. I mean, it went for a long time. In fact, 3.5 months after the anniversary election, it went on. It was a long days in a time of pandemic and so on. Is that a good for the society? Is that going to benefit any one party?
Benefit? Well, like I said, people will have to find, when I say people, politicians will have to find another way of communicating information. This is a situation, a pandemic situation, that we really have little control over. You can't really go and host, and this is something, like I say, I always enjoy, the rallies. You know, I like to see the people's reaction. I like to see the people's expressions. I like to hear the politicians' speeches. I enjoy that, and I think a vast majority of the population, that is the hype of elections, HYPE. But this is something we have no control over, and I think they're going to try to make the best of available resources to communicate their messages. So they're going to have to be using the mainstream media, which I always say is expensive. So the political parties who have the most money will have an advantage in the extent to which they can advertise. And then you have the social media, which is going to be widely used this time. So it's going to be used to a large extent. It's already being used.
Right.
Candidates who have been selected here, blogging away, writing articles, LinkedIn, all of them.
Right. On that note, this is a social media campaign more than anything else. Is that correct to say?
I would say so. Yes, I would say so because it's freer. It's cheaper. It's free and it's cheaper.
And it's more apart from cheaper, Indira, it is also reaching everybody. It reaches everybody.
Well, so too does the mainstream media, particularly electronic media, because most people have a radio or TV today. I think your program today is reaching a lot of people, and I call this mainstream media, Ken. So the mainstream media, but the social media, it's more widely disseminated, and you have it there. You have it wherever you are, if you're mobile,
Last issue, Indira. Is it that the society must acknowledge that, and the parties must, that whichever political leader loses this election must retire from public life?
I think there is that perception for the simple reason of their age. I think Prasad Mutesa is approaching 70 and Dr. Rowley's around. So I think because of their age, but also because they would have felt that they have served their time.
Politicians ever feel so? Which politician feel they served their time?
No, not the politicians.
To get back in the ring.
Yeah, a campaign manager. So, no, not the politicians. They never see it that way. But I always talk about this leader-citizen gap. You have, the politicians thinking one way, and the leaders never seem to understand what the people are thinking, and that's because there isn't sufficient communication.
But is it that the respective parties would drive the losing leader out?
Mr. Manning, eh?
Yes, we did.
That was quite clear in 2010 when Mr. Manning.
But that was the PNM's culture. If Mrs. Prasad Bisesa were to lose, do you see that happening with her?
Well, in terms of driving, I wouldn't use that word drive, but I think she would be advised. Then there would be upcoming people who would be.
If her members of parliament are people who are strongly loyal to her, as appears to be what is happening now, how would that factor in?
when they were talking, but the members of parliament, I keep repeating, at 39, you need the support of the to run a party or to lead a party.
So how does... what is the institution for removing a leader? I know we down the road, but the first step you usually do is remove a leader as the opposition leader. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves there, Indira. There'll be time for us to discuss that. One of our listeners... Go ahead.
Yeah, well, just to put it shortly, there was always internal elections, and that's where the people, I think, have an opportunity, members of the party have an opportunity to elect. It's an election in the internal, and that is one, if you ask how you read.
Indira, one of our listeners sent me a note here talking about the removal of several of the top brass of the UNC and reports of others to change, and he asked, how would this affect the outcome of the election?
It depends on where they are, Ken, and I would still wait the opposition leader announcement on this because I don't like to go on rumors or even what I hear and see on social media. I like to hear it that way. It depends on where they are. If they are in safe seats, I do not think it will impact significantly. If they are in those base seats, I think the people, the UNC people, are going to come out and support their candidates.
Yeah, but may not have an impact, a ripple impact in marginal seats and among the middle class. I don't know. You are smarter than me on these issues.
But where they are being removed, it's not on the marginal constituencies. The marginal candidates. Well, if we're talking about the UNC, the marginal candidates have already been selected. So I don't think there were any removal in the marginal.
All right. No, I wasn't suggesting that. But anyway, right. So you're excited about the campaign, Indira?
Well, I'm also following the U.S. elections, which I do. They tend to run parallel, and I'm always excited about elections. Like the opposition leader, I'm excited. I believe that we have had a history of generally fair and free elections, with some hiccups sometimes. And last 2015, we had this issue of the election petition and all that. But generally, I think we do well. We're very law-abiding citizens to a large extent. So I think we are well poised.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're getting a lot of speculation here. Even as we speak, I'm hearing about some candidates and so on I want to speculate on. So we will have to re-engage on that and we'll talk about it. In addition to that, another time we will talk about the U.S. election. I see Kanye West has now entered the fray. It is, I would want to get your take on the U.S. election, which is just over 100 days from today.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Indira, thank you very much for your time this Sunday morning. Thank you so much for your time and insights. Sure. Dr. Indira Rampasad is a political scientist attached to the University of the West Indies, giving us her take. Well, we have much more, but your calls have been coming since we started, so let's take some calls. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Morning.
The Honorable Doctor.
Yes.
And I have heard something in the grapevine. I hear about an Robert Square back in Cuba.
No, listen, let's not get into speculation. I have in front of me a lot of speculation. So we'll deal, by this evening we'll get all the names. I don't want to spend time today on radio because I have a lot is happening. Thank you very much. In fact, we're hearing this one for, dear Lord, we will deal with all of that. In fact, thank you.
Good morning, Ken.
Morning.
Morning.
And it's overwhelming.
It is. It really is, yes.
Don't you feel like you have to stop and take some deep breaths and try to concentrate? I'll tell you something. The Prime Minister is terrified. He's terrified because of what is happening in Port of Spain. And let me tell you something. His strategy is the same old thing. He created a committee. They're going to go into Port of Spain. They're going to give out some community group. They're going to set up some NGOs. They're going to be connected with the finance department. They're going to fund some contracts. They're going to give some people something. You don't build a country like that. You have to have meaningful integration. And tell us what you need. I was listening to a radio station, a frequency I-95. I listen to them a lot because they're a very strong PNM supporter. Like many other radio stations in this country.
Make it quickly. Make it quickly. I want to take
I want to make it quick. All right, Ken. So anyway, when I was listening to Dolly Gosby or whatever, she said, you know what she said? She said the narrative in Port of Spain needs to be corrected. Corrected. You want somebody in government to edit your story, to change your history, to write their own story for you?
It's an ongoing denial of the truth
serious.
and the
Okay,
history. 227-5739. Good morning.
Ali.
Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, by Mr. Ali, when we were talking last Sunday. We didn't know that we have all this played on that whole week, by.
Well, we kept saying it was going to be an early
I was
day.
waiting, but yeah, by.
Quickly, what's your point?
Well, the point is, by we watching what's going on, and
Good. Well, let's continue to watch. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Ken, everything.
Morning.
Mr. Ken, the law in there was a stipulation that they only have 25 people section. And I see a whole big crowd, like a football team and others, canvassing with Costa Current and the police and deal with that. What really going on in this place? Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. I think somebody should, if those are the guidelines, somebody should alert the police to that. Good. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken. Ken, I do agree that the election campaign should be economy, but I don't think that happened.
No,
I think
no.
what's going to happen is leadership.
You think leadership would be an issue?
That's the issue, I think.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Mr.
Morning.
Good
How are you?
Not bad, thank you. Mr. Ali, I don't know if you was watching the Parliament Friday. Did they get this whole thing back to front again, like when they did when they swore in the Attorney General before the Prime Minister, when they came into office? Because I heard, and the news was telling you, the leader of government business, Ms. Robinson Regis, got up and asked the Speaker to, there's a Latin term you call, Mr. Ali.
Yes, there's a Latin term.
And what does that mean? That you close down this prorogation?
I understand the point you're making, but I don't see it as a big one because
Yes.
And but then what is the term? Cynic. I'll get the term.
Yes, some Latin term.
It's a Latin term, right?
Yes.
It wasn't the appropriate term to use, and that is all I could suggest. Maybe
because I wanted to find, because after she said that, we will expect that matter, the Parliament will, the business will stop. But Ms. Bissessa got up and talked about the matters and the adjournment. And that is when Dr. Rowley, because the reporter was saying, and listen what happened next. Then is when Dr. Rowley got up and started to talk about the date of the election, etc.
Yes.
So did she, put the cart before the horse again?
I wondered a few things. Now, one of which I wondered is that there is a line item for announcements by ministers.
Yes.
And I thought that it would have been appropriate to announce the election date then, and the election date under that. But then there's also an odd thing in that if you do that, then you went on with the day's proceedings of the House.
Yes.
So maybe the Prime Minister got special permission to make that statement at the end of the day. But it was a bit of a clumsy thing, really.
Well, this is the point I'm making, because if she could call and tell the Speaker, look, we're going to, close down the Parliament, and she used the Latin term, then we expect that the business of the Parliament finished for the day. But matters of adjournment, then is when Dr. Rowley got up and talked about the election day.
Yeah,
so
yes.
it looked as if they get the whole thing back to front again, as they did when this was sworn in.
Yes. I felt so too. But I'll tell you this, I had anticipated an election date because it was July 3rd, and on July 7th the House had to go into its mid-year. I didn't think the Prime Minister would have done all of that. I think the PNM feel it has the ascendancy, whether it does or not, and on the basis of that, I anticipated he would have called the election date. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Allen, and good morning to the listeners. Mr. Ali, sometimes I wonder really, because, we out here on this side, and where it is especially now, they have COVID now, where people really cannot use this time to call the election because, the leader of the opposition didn't get opportunity to question and find out where the money is going out. They'll have no parliament sitting, and when the time run out, polls now, and all the money finished, and if they lose now, they have no accountability, Mr. Ali. This is something very important to the country and to the people. But at the same time, we welcome the date and to see what will happen at the end of it all. And another thing to Mr. Ali, when it is like, these smaller parties, right? I don't know if it is they having, dialogue with the leader of the opposition, very important. And the UNC have never contested the election in Tobago. So I think it is very important for she to have dialogue, because I don't think they'll be putting up any candidate. Because as a voter like myself, people would like to know, okay then, I support my party and you're not having a candidate. But if they have dialogue and as well, okay then, support Mr. A or Mr. B, and your vote will have a say if it is. I think that is one point that the Tobagonians would like to see, because Tobagonians vote for their vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We got to take a break at the top of the hour, but I just want to let's take this call. I want to share a thought on the small parties after that. Good morning to you.
Mr. Ali. And I think that all parties going out of government from now on supposed to lead the country to a balance sheet as to where to left the economy, the expenses and
that's a good
programs
point.
Because the last time if you kind of just mama guy and mountain financial issues doesn't make sense. So I think from the next government we need to have a balance sheet before you go out of prepare a balance sheet.
I think that's a purposeful recommendation. I agree with you. You?
Good morning, Mr. Ken.
Good morning, sir.
Ken, from today till election, we have about a month?
Yeah, just over a month.
Just over a month.
Yeah.
When would we get this another 20-something candidates?
This evening. The UNC is this program today. Before we through, I will seek to confirm the details and share it. In fact, I think we have lined up to speak with the chairman of the UNC. So I will ask him once we get him on the line.
This thing, all the years, all the months going by, we only get 17. Could 17 win the election?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Tabakit is a big area. Could that poor girl walk, or man or boy, who it is, could walk Tabakit area in 2-3 days? When Kamala doing this thing over and over and over, keeping everything in her bosom, and when time for election, a week or two, then they go it out. What the hell she got when people walking months, years all over the place? Pastor Rowley, thinking the candidate, then we tell him, Kamala, what she hide? Where's that secret? Just next week that the thing for candidates?
The 14th, the 17th, right? The 17th.
Next week.
I think the following week. Today's the 5th. Yeah.
All right. So wait, I can't understand what's going on with this lady. Why are you keeping it as a secret? Let the people come out and walk and meet the people.
All right.
So people can be, okay, we go vote for that man, we go vote for that woman, we go wait for that girl. You understand?
Yeah.
But when you bring somebody just 2 weeks or 3 weeks for election and shove it in your throat, what other choice you have? Not to sit home and rocking and make election day?
Yeah.
You could have announced 17. What happened to the rest?
All right. Yeah.
Is Monila going back up or no?
Well, we'll find that out.
We don't know this afternoon. We will
But
know.
any time Kamala kick out Monilal from Parliament, Kamala done. She done. It better she start to walk and get the same thing Manning get when he lost election, and what Pandey get, she go get the same thing. Because it's like Monilal.
Right. All right.
Gopi Singh gone. Right? He was a good debater. Right? We don't know about Tiwari Kamak or what we know nothing yet. We ain't nothing about that.
Our information is no.
He is out.
He is out.
So, well, then who going to debate in Parliament? Who going to debate in Parliament? Well, I hear they want to bring back Anil, but he's a good debater. He's a man who could stand up to Rowley and them fellas. When you go bring a set of little school children to put in front of Rowley boo them down?
Right.
Man, I find Kamala making herself a fool, man.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Call, and that is what we wanted. It is here. And we have to know Mrs. Kamala Prasad cannot win an election. The people come and make her or Mr. Rowley win the election. For the last 5 years and this 5 years, which one has been done better? In the Inheritance Stabilization Fund, did Mr. Rowley put money in that would give any money we take off? You see this fella from Tabakit? He don't understand when you're picking and choosing something, it takes time. And if you love 5 years, she fired enough of them for mishandling the taxpayers' money. And when he could come and say, you know, all that we have great thought and great mind, but we have somehow we have suspect thought. You cannot come and blame she.
Okay. All right. Okay, sir. Okay. The calls are continuing to come in, but it's top of the hour. We take the break. We have a lot of calls. We would take your calls. We have a lot more lined up. We have some other guests you want to hear. So we take the break and we come back.
105 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
Grand Diamond Hotel invites you to dine in our newest and exquisite grand opening Chai Thai restaurant situated at LP 12 Golden Grove. Our authentic Thai and Indian cuisine would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop restaurant dining. All meats halal. For reservations, call 331-5013-320-1093. Our email address, chaithai19@gmail.com. Opening hours, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Takeaway and delivery services are available 11 a.m. to 2:20 p.m. Secured parking and excellent services.
KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia, for all electrical supplies, water heaters, filters, and water pumps, plus Gould, Pentax, and Leo pumps. Choose from leading brands such as Cooper, Varma, BTCino, Leviton, and General Electric. Call 665-6954 for more information. KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Canupia.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liquor, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery copying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion. Come in and take advantage of our special liquor, wholesale and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
7 minutes after the hour of 11 a.m., we promised you the chair of the United National Congress, Mr. Peter Kanhai, who we have on the line. Good morning, Peter. Good morning.
Morning, Ken. Morning, and morning to you.
How are you? You sound like you've been busy at it, or late night?
Well, both.
All right, we won't keep you long. There is a lot of interest, of course, about the UNC's preparedness for the general election. First, the final candidates to be named today. Could you give us the details?
Yes, as the leader would have said on Friday after the general election date was set. Later today, the political leader will announce all outstanding candidates.
Mm-hmm. You have a time, because our listeners are very interested in some details here, as much as you could share.
Well, I expect that it will be after lunch today that will be made by the party on behalf of the political leader.
How prepared is the party for the general election?
All right. Well, okay. So when the Prime Minister made the announcement on Friday, I received several calls from members of the media wanting to know if we were taken by surprise. But that question was a surprise to me. That since February, we began screening and we began naming candidates, particularly in the marginal seats. We as early as February, and then things came to a grinding halt with the lockdown, and we could not continue screening and so on. But to answer your question directly, we are not surprised by the we had a permutation of several dates, including July the 20th. And once he went down the road and didn't announce it, we know it was going to be either the 10th of August, the 24th of August, the 7th of September. So we were expecting any one of those dates, so we were not surprised. And in addition to that, the party has since then named 17 candidates. All the candidates for the marginal seats in particular were named, and our teams have been out on the ground doing the groundwork.
But, okay, some of my listeners, not only today but previously, are expressing some distress over we just had a caller from Tabakit who says, listen, there's a huge constituency. We expect the candidates at us and so on, but there's a lot of ground to cover in short time. Respond to that in terms of the timing of the naming of the candidates.
Well, elections, any elections is a 5-week period. Right? Any election is a 5-week period. Now, as I said, work has been going on. The party has been doing work continuously over the last 4 years, and we have been on the ground. Teams have been on the ground all over, and with a greater focus, of course, on the marginal seats. But we have been on the ground. All candidates will be made known today, and we expect that all people in the various constituencies will hit the ground running tomorrow morning with their candidates, their selected candidates.
Mm-hmm. Are you confident of victory, Peter?
Yes, I am confident that we've been doing the work as the opposition and the party, the government in waiting. We've been doing the work on the ground for a very long time. That was reflected in the results that we got at the local election and even at the 2018 by-election in Barataria. Been doing on the ground has been paying dividends. We fully expect that it will continue into this general election. And of course, how many people could take another 5 years of this current administration?
Now, as chairman of the party, I mean, the organizational and administrative aspect of the party, this is campaigning in a time of COVID with the pandemic and so on.
Yes.
Do you plan, for example, first off, do you plan public meetings?
Well, we have as a responsible party, we have to honor the current regulations that are in place. So in terms of public meetings, the way we know public meetings to be in a general election, we will plan for them, but we can't execute them unless the regulations are lifted. However, we began a month and a half ago to do our virtual meetings that are broadcast. We will continue those as we go down the road. Outside of that, the teams are on the ground doing their covering their constituency house to house and doing those exercises. We've had teams on the ground doing the FAO exercise where we are identifying all people who are not registered, people who are living in constituencies and never changed their addresses and that kind of thing. Those exercises you would have seen a couple of weeks ago. We met with the EBC.
Right.
We were able to present the EBC with another list of over 3,000 names of persons who either not registered in the constituency they're living in, people who have migrated out, who have passed away, and so on. And all those exercises, that has been an exercise continually going on.
Right, and that is one of me to ask you. Have there been any outcome on that matter? I know you raised 3,000 irregularities. What is being done, and are you satisfied with the way the EBC is treating this matter?
Well, in our meetings with the EBC, before the last meeting, we had given them a previous list, and they responded to the General Secretary of the party with some responses. We weren't totally satisfied with the responses that we got from them on the first batch, and we made that clear to them during our last meeting when we presented the second batch. And action as far as the EBC is concerned, because now that elections have been announced, certain timelines come into effect, where they, on July 1st, they would have issued a preliminary list, which we have to go through constituency by constituency and find any objections and so on. At the same time, there is a period. I don't know if it's. I'm not sure which date it starts, but they usually give you a 10-day period during which persons can come and get their registration out before they issue the next list.
Now, one concern expressed by some people, I don't know if you see any validity in it, is that some Venezuelans may my ID cards and are permitted to vote. Is that a matter of concern?
It is a matter of concern. The EBC has denied it in meetings and so on. But this election, more than ever, the UNC as the official opposition and the party most likely to form the next government, we have to be very vigilant. Now and on election day.
Do you anticipate a free and fair election?
I put it this way. We had an election in which we do not believe was a fair election. And therefore, we take cognizance of that. We also take cognizance of what is going on in our neighboring CARICOM country of Guyana. And therefore, the political leader, a couple of weeks ago, at one of our virtual meetings, made a call for international observers for this election. But having made that call, and now that the election is called and the borders are still closed, we have to ask the government what they plan to do to allow this country for election.
What about the on that matter and the closure of the borders? Of course, it disenfranchises voters wherever you are, whichever. Is this a point that the UNC wants to advocate strongly about? I see some of your supporters on social media talking about online voting and so on. We don't have a history of online voting.
We don't have that. We don't even have a history of national voting at say a consulate or embassy outside of Trinidad. So you must be in Trinidad please to cast your ballot. Again, our political leader at the virtual meeting 2 weeks ago did raise that if she made a call for the government to allow nationals of Trinidad and in time for them to be able to exercise their franchise. Now, with the government's response is that, and the Prime Minister made a statement on Friday evening saying that opening the borders is not a condition for the election.
Now, as we speak, one of our listeners has just sent me a note here saying, talking about the matter of the Venezuelans with ID cards, and he says he knows of 2 people Venezuelans who have ID cards. So if one person knows of 2, it must be much more pronounced than that. So I just wanted to put that into our listeners.
But earlier on, we now have the most recent list put out by the EBC on the 1st of July, and we have the teams in all of the constituencies going through those lists, doing that exercise of trying to identify what that names have been struck off, what names have been added, and where there's and in both instances, our teams are going out to do our verification, and we will raise the objections.
And what would be the deadline for the final list?
I don't have the date offhand, but I think the final list is something like about 7 days before.
Right. A couple of other matters, Peter. One is your MP, Barry Padarath. Is he coming in time?
Well, we expect him to be here in time. Barry was screened via virtual screening together with other nominees. Nomination day for this election is the 17th of July. So the party will monitor that situation, and before the 17th of July, make a decision one way or the other.
Right. Final question, Peter, is on the voters' list for candidates on election.
The burden that falls on me as chairman of the party will be tremendous, and my role here is to ensure that the United National Congress becomes the next government and Kamla Persad-Bissessar becomes our new Prime Minister yet again.
Anything else you want to share with us, with our listeners?
I want to assure all our listeners and your listeners and party supporters and the national, economically, socially, crime, etc. We are ready. We've done it before. We can do it again. We have laid out our economic plan that is aimed at creating 50,000 new jobs in the 5-year period. As you know, in this country, in the last 4 to 5 years, over 100,000 persons have lost their jobs. Never mind COVID, but people have lost their jobs.
Is there going to be, I know there has been the economic plan, is there going to be a store?
There will be a general manifesto. That economic plan is really just a point of the economic plan, but a general manifesto as well as constituency manifestos are being generated as we speak. But there will be a general manifesto by the party that will give more flesh to that economic plan.
Good. Peter, you've been very kind to give us your time this morning. I know these are very busy days with you. I want to thank you very much on behalf of our many listeners, and I hope you would be available to us as the campaign goes on.
Ken, anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you so much. Peter Khan, United National Congress, speaking to us on several issues. Your calls have been coming in. Let's take some more calls. Good morning to you.
Morning, Ken.
Morning.
Right. I just about 10 minutes ago joined the program. I heard Mr. Kanhai.
I'm not hearing you too well.
Yeah. Okay, you hear me now?
Well, now, yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. Well, I guess that for most people, I think one of your callers raised the issue.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not too clear. But I listened to it. If Parliament was prorogued, the leader of the House said that the Parliament would be prorogued for a day sine die.
That's the term. That's the term.
Yeah, a date might have been given for the next sitting of Parliament, but no date was given. And normally the adjournment would be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Speaker would put the question to the House with respect to the adjournment.
Mm-hmm.
But when she spoke to the Leader of the Opposition with respect to the matters on the adjournment, the Leader of the Opposition said, and been dissolved, nothing further will be done. But as I said, normally, when the date is set for the next sitting, matters on the adjournment would be dealt with before the Speaker puts the question to the House with respect to the adjournment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's where the been dealt with, but the Leader of the Opposition is of the view that the Parliament has ended with respect to the adjournment sine die, a date to be announced.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So, but whichever way, the Parliament has ended. But what I would like you to probably enlighten me,
mm-hmm.
now that Parliament has ended, what is the, with respect to ministerial appointments? I know that, well, the people can no longer be considered members of Parliament.
No, they're not.
But what about ministerial appointments? I would like some clarification on
well, I could give you a top-of-the-head answer, but I would have to get an expert opinion. The government continues to remain in effect until the election day. I think takes place, but of course, I could get an expert to discuss it with us.
Okay, so that would mean the substantive ministers would continue
yes.
In their respective posts?
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ken, can I make another
yes.
contribution? I love the way I love the way Ms. Bissessa did that in Parliament. I just loved her entrance because prior to that, MP Farisal was absent. Every day they do that. They criticize her absence. And you know what she's saying in her mind? I can't read her mind, but just from what I've garnered from reading all of these articles, she is saying, I don't give a crap what the real problems in this country. And she surrounds herself by some pretty smart people, and she's got to make some really tough decisions. Because remember, people vote for your face in this country. They don't vote for who running in your village and making false promises. Share that with you very quickly. But I love the way she did that, and she's right. She has all rights, and she said they agreed to everything. She said, oh, yeah, we have no opposition against any disagreements that's pending bills. We're okay with everything. Fine. Let's adjourn, and let us move now with the date for the election. Because we are going to... But I want to say something about Mala Dukaran.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, hopefully, Ms. Bissessa is listening to me because I love her entrance and exit. Mala Dukaran said on the Caribbean Financial Report or something like that, economic report, she wrote an editorial, and I think she's using and playing that race card, and it's going to hurt a lot of people in the Caribbean.
Oh.
She said that, I'll make it fast. Do you know what she said? She basically said that all these, that our banking system is great, it's up to standard. The EU is giving us a blacklisted standard because it's a white man thing. It was all about race. But she fails to drive around and watch communities that are falling apart because the money never gets to the poor communities. And maybe that's what the EU is probably telling us. You know what? Fix all your cards now. Fix your games. Clean up government. Make transparency. She fails to see that because I feel like sometimes Mala Dukaran supports the 1%, and that's who she's advocating for consistently. That is my comment. Thanks.
Thank you. If not today, or maybe not today, but we would get her response to all of this. But I know she has been split here on the issue of accountability, which is a point we have been discussing at length. Good morning to you.
Yeah, morning, Ken and Ann.
Morning.
Yeah, I love the lady is speaking about her comments. I think she has some spoken word. Talking about spoken word, I don't know if you saw the clip on TV last night with Mugabe lookalike now, the Prime Minister from Trinidad and Tobago.
No,
Yeah, he was down in Point, and apparently like he have new medications because the man was lactic, I must say. So if he is on, is working because he was very polite to the crowd, telling them that how they build this hospital. But since I was a little boy walking barefoot going to school, Eric William promised a road for Point 14 and a hospital for Point 14. And then I grew up to know the Point 14 area hospital in the area there when I used to go Vanilla and thing in them days. And it took the grace of Miss Bissessa to start the highway and start the hospital, and he go Downton Tomasos that is the PNM that build the hospital for them. But I don't know, boy. These people are them. I'm not condemning them. I don't condemn people, but I don't know. People wake up now and emancipate all themselves from the PNM now, and then we get it going and put Miss Bissessa in power. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let's take some more calls. 636-7547-227-5739. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Candy Bellman.
What's happening, Bellman?
I
say you abandon us.
Well, we had a big executive meeting last night and so on and things like that. I was there and we brought our presentation and so on, and we came.
Okay.
Well prepared.
Good.
Because we know we're going to meet the devil.
So you're ready to ring the bell?
When you're going to meet the devil, you have to prepare, You understand? Can what really man giving me a mental diarrhea? You know what Tabaki PNM caller? I'm running from radio station to radio station because the man have me so confused. It's one thing over and over about this and she. This PNM Tabaki caller came. But I want to tell him, he alone can make the former prime minister elections or win an election. Change the matter a little bit. Somebody could change a word, but you could change around the word. But he going this Tabaki PNM caller from station to station, only calling about this woman, we know who we're going to vote for. Came from the first day PNM won the election, I know who I was voting for. Because after the reputation, the character, and the behavior of the former prime minister, what she did comparing to what the PNM have done, nothing, I know who I'm voting for. So, Ken, I want to wish you the best as we go forward.
You too.
And you're going to hear me. I feel like with that. I want to wish my former prime minister the best. I want to wish her a good afternoon and the best of everything as we go forward. We come in. I want to tell you that it is hard to educate a man who is wise and ignorant of his own ignorance.
Thank you, Bellman. Keep ringing the bell. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Ali. How are you? Let me just look at my resume. Yeah, Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali, I have a problem with UNC callers. Now, I don't mind some of them, they speak very good, yes. But I'll say 95% of them, they will just make UNC lose the election. Instead of the right thing, Mr. Ali, God bless you.
You there?
Yes, sir.
Take your time and make your point. You sound frustrated. But take your time, make your point.
Overwhelmed.
Yes, overwhelmed. You're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Some UNC callers, 95% of them, Mr. Prasad, lose the election through their ignorance and their one-sided view. I am not saying PNM did anything wrong. I am not saying PNM did anything right. On the UNC voter, I want the truth. Let us be clear. Mr. Ali and Mr. Stuckey, have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
You wrote off your UNC callers, but you see the caller from Tabakit,
who called earlier, I agree with that gentleman 150%. Can I listen to Peter Kanhai just now? You tell me that the chairman of your party and our party operates. The chairman of the party don't know what time they releasing the candidates. So what, reporters and supporters must sit down by the radio whole day from now until 6 o'clock this evening over the phone and look for announcement? Come on, man. That is utter madness. And it clearly goes to show that it's a one-man team. It's what can I remember about a month now, a name cropped up the PRO of the party. And that name cropped up and nobody denied it or anything.
There's been a lot of speculation.
You understand? Now the other point is, I know they will come after me now, because you see they want us to do at the PNM. You support the party, but you mustn't say nothing about the party. If the party is going foul of the supporters, you as a supporter have a right to come out and speak about it. In Nation Day, and supporters, they know who is 17 or 18 candidates yet. If Ms. Kamla Persad-Bissessar takes God out of her thought and replaces Dr. Munilal, that's the end of the party mashup, Because Dr. Munilal has been clearly one of the best debaters in Parliament, and NACTA poll gives him that. He has taken the PNM front to he afraid nobody. There have been allegations and there have been all sorts of things about him. He has not been charged other than that charge. The fact that the Express was able to bring that up this morning, when I read the article, Ken, I don't know if you read the article.
I read it, and I'm glad you're going there because I want...
Those in the information they have on that article is something February this year.
You're absolutely right.
Same bloody information they have and they rehash it. And that clearly shows that the reporter, I will say no more on that. But look at another thing again.
Yes.
They come this morning now, plot to assassinate before election to divert my view. People may not agree with it. She is making the same mistake as Mr. Rowley did in the last term. You're bringing in new faces. I am not saying no. You ought to have a mixture of both. But if you keep out all the older faces, the veteran, the now, because he really has made a mess about the ministry. And if you go with too much young faces, you are going to have an inexperienced stalwarts like Dr. Munilal and them fellas. So supporters who support you, they go say, God, that's the best they can do, and she will end up in a worst case situation. So I am telling her, up front, he does, and that is my case, Ken.
Thank you, newspaper today. One, I don't see any fresh information and to the timing of it, and I'm glad you raised that, because good morning to you.
Yeah, Ken.
Yes.
I think I am speaking for like about 75 to 80% of the UNC supporters, that we are quite satisfied with Mrs. We are quite satisfied that the leader, whether she makes whatever decision she makes, we will support her, right? And any views. But take your views.
All right, you've made that point. Let me ask a question quickly. I want to take some other calls. What is on what is the basis for saying? I just want to know. Curious.
Well, I have done my survey.
You've done your survey.
And you do yours.
Good. All right, thank you, sir. He speaks to 75 to 80%.
Morning, Mr. Ali.
Yeah, morning.
I'm Ms. Duki.
Morning.
I was going through the internet and you had spoke about campaign finance reform.
It is a manifesto.
Mr. Rowley announced that the long-awaited campaign finance reform bill will be instituted before the 2020 general election. He sent in the draft to a joint committee for made a solid commitment to this name that it did not regulate an incumbent government access to state resources before and during an election campaign period. He said the loophole allows an opportunity to supplement the candidate's resources.
Because it comes at a time when they've been commingling all the money they've gotten, over $6 billion, in funding a lot of campaign matters and so on. But yes, thank you, sir. Good morning to you.
Can I want to make a quick comment? I'll make it very quickly. Criticizing the UNC, but the truth is that out there on the frequency, people say Mr. Moon is how he's portrayed.
Yeah, but that is character assassination. That one was unacceptable. Let's deal with the issues, please. Keep the characters not here. Please don't come back with that here. Good morning to you. Okay, as we take the break, a few things to tell you. Failed promises include campaign finance. I want to pay tribute to a lady called Sherish, S-H-E-R-I-S-H Maharaj, who has died. She was one of, they call her a warrior in the campaign, where several people, including and one of our former colleagues in the media, is very much involved. I pay tribute to them, I congratulate them, and our condolences on the passing of young.
KY's Southern Main Road, Canupia, for all your plumbing and electrical supplies, water heaters, filters, and water pumps, plus all parts for Gould. 665-6954 for more information. KY's Electrical Supplies Limited of
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liquor, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motorized holidays for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
For quality items, visit Super Quality Supermarket of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket, Cuba car poultry items, liquor, fresh fruits, and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath. So many items to choose from. Take advantage of our Quality Supermarket and Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket.
Grand Diamond Hotel. Come and enjoy our authentic and our outdoor terrace would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop 1093. Our email address chaitai19@gmail.com. Opening hours 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Takeaway and delivery services are available 11.
Visit Eddie's Pharmacies Limited newest location in sugar, cholesterol and pregnancy testing, as well as all pharmaceutical products and over-the-counter drugs, along with CDAP prescriptions. Sagicor Carico card, Guardian Life Provider card and Republic Bank points are all accepted at their 3 locations of Eddie's Pharmacy Limited. RS Bepo, GN Building in Pinal and C3
Politics 2020. We have a lot to share with you. One of the important persons in the political mix is Miss Makila Pandey, the political leader of the Patent Line. Good morning, Miss Pandey.
Morning, Ken. Morning, Fernando.
Oh, you sound very exuberant. Are you on the campaign trail at this time?
Yes. Well, not on the trail as to say. We're still obeying the rules of the COVID-19 restrictions, but yes, a couple of people, and we're in our office and we're discussing the way forward. Etc.
How does it look? Are you surprised by the election date?
You know, I think in politics, of course, you give in all political parties, because only the ruling party would know, something like 2 weeks to put in the nominations. The other major party, which would have been may have realized that perhaps some of the goodwill that may have come from the COVID-19 quote-unquote success, so to say, was waning a little bit, and there were issues that needed to be addressed as by any government. So many people in this country right now have lost their jobs. But beyond people who have car loans, people who have to pay internet, people who have to pay light bills. So the country was beginning to feel very unsettled. And I feel perhaps, I cannot know what they're thinking, but that it was a strategic move. And because normally, you know what the kind of politics we are accustomed to in Trinidad is that you go and you give a night election, but it may very well be that the country has no money.
Okay. Where are you in terms of your own preparedness? How many candidates, for example, do you expect to field?
We have a number of candidates. Well, I was in the process, because you have to remember, it was only last week Thursday that we had sort of opened up nominations. So we don't have a set number of anything, but beyond that, Ken, but the most important thing is nobody listens to what the people want and their views. They tend to make closed door decisions with a few people. What do the people think? It's not, they say, yeah, go fully out there and do your best. so we immediately following the decision on Friday, yesterday, and today, as I said to you, I'm in my office. We are just going to speak with people and do the realistic thing. I mean, with the Patriotic Front didn't to put people into Parliament, but really had a vision for society to change the way politics is done or is practiced in this country, to not just shake up and do this at the UNC, but to be the forefront that practice in this country and to have really a new vision for the society. So we're not phased, like I said, in politics. Anything can happen at any time, and Ken, you know that.
Now,
you know that well.
I would still want to get a sense from you of how many candidates you're likely to field, because the nomination day is 2 weeks away.
Yeah, we have not made that decision. Like I said, Thursday would have only made it a week, and therefore, remember what you do. What leaders do is, you have to be able to move with the different decisions and the different times thrown at you. And therefore, what you would have thought about on Thursday or last week may not be the same. So we really, that is not a decision that has been made.
But are you committed to fighting the election?
I am committed to doing exactly what our supporters want us to do. You see, this is the next thing. In this country, what we tend to do is people make unilateral decisions as leaders. I could be very committed to, and that is not what the people who support you want. And that's why we are here, we're listening to them, and we will make a decision, and we will always keep the public and the media like yourself informed of what we're doing.
What responses have you been getting?
This was never that. It was not splitting the PNM's vote. It wasn't to split anybody's vote. But having looked at things statistically, there are many people throughout this country who are registered, and many disenchanted people. And the strange thing about it is, they're not disenchanted today. They were 2015 or 2010 or even 2007. People have been, there are people in this country who do not vote because they do not find that either the two parties is a viable option. And those, as I said, were the people that we were speaking to. And that is your democratic right. And you could, that's not a problem to go ahead doing so. But when you looked at the total amount of people supporting them, the amount of people that did not support either was more. And I mean, honestly, I tell you, with hand on my heart, that was a statistical reality that we saw, looking at the CSO and we continue to work. On a personal level, I can tell you that this decision wasn't made easy, to get into politics, to get into electoral politics. And I can tell you that I'm here for the long haul. The best way
All right. Now, I'm seeing from the people who surrounded you at your launch a number of youths. Are you going to be youth-oriented?
Yes, of course you must. I think that is very important. But I feel that you must have people around you because you also need experience. And that comes from people like you. People who have been there, people who could, guide you. We still, of course, make decisions that you think ultimately as a group, this is the way forward. But I think experience is very important. Anybody, doesn't matter how old they are, when they have their parents or their aunties or their uncles or whoever who are alive, you still go to them for their experience, and we will continue. Definitely, I feel people are just fed up of the same recycling, of the same politicians, and I don't feel, that it's hate. It's just that the country is, perhaps ready for something new, but we will see how it goes, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, Michaela, I am getting several messages. One from a listener in Canada who raises concerns that your organization could split the vote with the UNC.
Absolutely not. You see, okay, if you split, why the UNC? Why is it that we will split the UNC?
Because you come from the heart of the UNC.
Because I come from the heart of the UNC,
yeah.
I don't come from the heart of the UNC. UNC member, but I have not been in any kind of politics or actively for the last 10 years. This isn't a situation of the COP, which was born out of the UNC. This is the Patriotic Front. Has nothing to do with that. And we are not coming from any place of hate, and I do not. But you know, if you split somebody's vote, does that mean that wasn't your vote in the first place?
No, final question. And
Yes.
the question of electoral funding is always an issue because elections, money is required for elections. Address that
Yes.
matter. Do you have potential financiers?
At this stage, of the biggest obstacles that we face. Unfortunately, no. And one of the things is we wanted things, especially with regards to financing, to be open and transparent, and therefore people must be able to know. I know people, you will have certain people who will support all parties and things like that, but we wanted that level of accountability. I don't know if you saw my press conference, you will see when we had formed the party and had registered the party, it took us a year to open a bank account. 1 whole year. But of course, it was important to do because financing must be open and transparent the way it has been done, as you very well know.
And I said that was the last, but is your father all G'd up for this campaign?
Listen, you know him so well. Is there any time he's not G'd up? He's a strong old boy. He's
Good.
strong. He always is there.
Right.
Yes.
Mikila, thanks for speaking with us. We know you have a busy day of meetings. Thank you so
You've
much.
been very kind to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, enjoy your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mikila Pandey, who is the political leader of the Patriotic Front, brand new organization. Take a break at the top of the hour, but we take some calls before and after. Good morning to you.
Ken,
Yes.
that party is like a block of ice you throw it in 12 o'clock sun. It will melt so fast.
Okay.
And the next thing, I want to tell Billman, let me tell you something. I am more UNC than you do, Billman. Right? I in UNC from the day Pandey created. I was a cane farmer, Billman. Me I not come lately, Billman. And I in the party long time. Right? I live in Tabakit area. And I must call and say what's going on in Tabakit area, Billman. I'm not like you like a blind follower. Don't do that. Okay? So don't tell me you just hear me in all radio stations. The only radio station you can hear me in AB, Station them in the morning. Mike. Right, Billman? So you better know where you're staying, Billman. Me and like you, I didn't come out in party and cry in a Billman. So behave yourself.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're heading to the midday hour. 636-7547. 227-5739. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, let them fellas keep the thing issue driven, man. We are issue driven.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little dick, but
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Morning.
Good afternoon, Ken.
Yeah, it's afternoon. Good.
No, well, Bellman don't call your station all the time. He call a certain station. You see this attack that what you're attacking? That is going to cause you. Last time you get 4 or 5 seater contract.
No, don't go there. Don't go. No, don't go there. Criticize his ideas. I don't want to hear that part.
Don't get personal.
But that is what he's making an assumption and go vote PNM.
All right, okay. We are at the top of the hour. We take the break. Well, we take this call, and then we go to the break, and then we come back with more. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
These people are arguing about UNC, and they're arguing what they're doing wrong. The politics is that they're supposed to argue and talk about the PNM, what wrong they do. We fight in an election. Like the PNM promised Tobago self-internal government. Like the PNM coming now and promising Diego Martin. When they're going out of power, they're promising Diego Martin to make, as though they win the election in Mova. Who this committee answering to? They out of it. And the same way they promised Roger the refinery. Ha ha ha, Roger. That's another lie. Thank you.
Thank you. Stick to the issues, and this is why we try to air as many issues as possible. Let's take the break. Your calls are coming in. We promise you we'll take the calls, and we have more interviews on the way to 1 p.m. We'll be right back.
99.75 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio.
Power to the listeners.
KY's Electrical Supply Main Road, Canupia. For all your plumbing and electrical supplies, water heaters, filters, and water pumps. Plus, all parts for Gould, Pentax, and Leo pumps. Choose from leading brands such as Cooper.
In Mayaro, we specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liquor, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion. Come in and take advantage of our specials at reduced prices on liquor, wholesale and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
The items, visit Super Quality Supermarket of Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Trin City Industrial Estate in Trin City, as well as Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket, Cuba Car Park, for all your grocery items, liquor, fresh fruits, and vegetables, not forgetting their bed and bath section, and kitchen appliances for your home. With so many items to choose from, take advantage of our great prices and discounts at any of our 3 locations, Trin City Industrial City, Endeavour Road, Chaguanas, and Cuba. For quality items, Super Quality Supermarket and Quality Cash and Carry Supermarket.
Grand Diamond Hotel invites you to dine in our newest and exquisite grand opening Chai Thai restaurant situated at LP 12 Golden Grove Road, Piaku. Come and enjoy our authentic Thai and Indian cuisine, and our outdoor terrace would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop restaurant reservations. Call 331-5013-320-1093. Our email address chaithai19@gmail.com. Opening hours 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily.
It's just after the midday hour this Sunday, the 5th day of July 2020, on U975 FM, Hot Like Pepper, Multicultural Radio, talking news, current affairs, and general election. We continue to take your calls. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Bukau. I was 14 days getting today. I was never 14 days for a long while. See, can I have about 3 or 4 questions? I want to agree with you.
We are not hearing you. Breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes. Well, yes.
Right. I want to agree with caller from Tabakit. If I was the opposition leader, I would have put up a candidate since I lost the election the last time. 5 candidates where people want in the area. And let us choose 1 out of the 5 to fight the election. Don't bring in a doctor and a lawyer and all these sort of things who cannot even walk the street and all these sorts of things to put as candidates for me. I personally think that is wrong. This year of idea, you ask Ms. Makila asking here if she can split her vote. Nobody in Trinidad can split the vote. They might disagree with me. You have 1 vote. You either vote for PNM and anybody, 1 vote. You can hope that the total 12 bars, whether you win, lose, or draw, have once a month for the people of that district. But when we look at it, you get a politician who would come and sit down on your doorstep, sit down on your road, sit down on the street in a pure, as they would say in old Indian language. And after election done, win, lose, or draw, you hardly ever see them. We need politicians like Jack Warner, who you could see him anytime and deal with him in the manifesto. And what do they do? They hardly do anything. I also think that the manifesto would be a legal document. But no politician in Trinidad would want they're going to meet you, but they go promise you all these sorts of things. I must say I'm a UNC supporter, but I'm not blind UNC supporter. I'm a UNC, and I think I stand for my rights. And all politicians must give us the opportunity to decide who we should put in the district. Because as they say, there are now 18 candidates. I would assume that UNC already won 23. Because if they are announcing 23 today, I don't know what it is. And Mr. Kanhai, as you told him, what time you think? He said, after time, Mr. Kanhai. You're a big man in the party. Give the people, if you don't have a time, they will deal with that. Don't try to fool the people. I thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your call. There was one point out of what you said I wanted to pick up on. But thank you very much. Let's go on with the calls. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, Mr. Ali.
Yes,
good
sir.
afternoon to you, Alan.
Yes, hi.
I listened to you all whole morning, yeah? I know what coming across. Eric Williams said he could put up a crap with a body time and win an election. And he did it, I hope Kamla not
Who was the crap who he put up?
Huh?
Who was the crap? Oh, he put up plenty.
When he put up the yard was a crap.
Oh God, don't say that.
No, at the time, yeah.
All right, go ahead with your point.
I hope Kamla not adopting that attitude, right? And changing the party silent to the PNM silent, right? UNC remain a vibrant opposition because of the members, you know. Dr. Mulilal and all these people, look. There are people that call here on my phone. Look, I Rudy talking, boy. When Parliament going on, or Prakash talking. These are the people we go and get accustomed with. She can't change these people in this election. Mr. Ali, you have to be very careful because she could get a rude awakening. No, I don't live in Dr. Mulilal area. None of them area. I'm from QF, but I live in Takayuga now. Prakash in St. Augustine, Ramona and they are living up in my area. I don't have to vote for them. But if I don't see people who I could identify with, Sally, I tell you straight, I am voting. Right?
And when you say identify...
I put Madras Road in she place this morning. Coming with stupidness on the thing but money, Lal and all this thing.
Yeah, no, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. She was overdo it, man.
Yes.
And then how the opposition leader come let she get real. How much of them remaining there, Mr. Ali? 14?
Well, we'll find out.
Maybe all of them have to come back there, man.
Right.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, we said at the start, no formal announcement yet, but there are reports of at least 4 in terms of the
13 incumbents.
Yes. Good afternoon to you.
We above more than any other year. If somebody, what to say, the politics that he's in right now, he step ahead of other people. And he bring another fact, not fiction, The man very good. Hope he will make a viable candidate if he not given the opportunity as a representative in the Senate. Because he needs vibrant persons like him. Have a good day.
Good afternoon.
Well, pleasant afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
You're Ken and Anne.
Hello.
Now the election bell has rung. People have to stop quarreling and arguing about UNC and UNC. Just get on board. Do what is right. And can also, before this government goes out of office, we have to demand that they pay the old people their $500 and put $500 million in the NIS system. They have the money. If they only go out of office, they're going with all that money in their pockets,
In the pockets?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not utilizing the money. They borrow all this money. What are they doing with it?
Okay.
They didn't give the children a laptop. They didn't give the old people the 500 elections. Come on, UNC. Come on, UNC. Demand that. The country has to demand what they're doing with all this money. And all these little projects that they say they open. It's what Kamla had started. The only thing they open is the Curab-Pisa Road.
Okay.
The only project they do in 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good
afternoon.
Afternoon. Afternoon?
Yes, you're live.
Yes, afternoon, folks. There's comment about Mr. Munir, Dr. Munir, but Kamla is very, very aware that the same situation exists as it is when Mr. Pani was held in the UNC. Right? They will win the election, they will hold their seat as it did with Mr. Pani. They had to get rid of Mr. Pani. She's fully aware Mr. Munir is not as marketable in the corridor as Mr. Vasam Bharat. She replaces Munir Bharat, and you'll see something. She cannot win a general election with Munir. Take my word for it.
Thank you very much. Continue to call 636-7547-227-5739. So no time yet, but announced for the opposition leader, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, to speak on the revelation. And how many? 22 candidates?
22 candidates.
22 candidates.
13 incumbents.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ken. Good afternoon, Ann.
Afternoon.
Ken, is this in our DNA, playing about everything? People would go to our wedding, see food, they would eat, they would drink, they would dance, everything would be perfect. And they would go to the washroom, and it might not have soap. And that would be the talk of the whole wedding now, that they didn't have soap, and this and that. What is wrong with we as a people in this country? This is time people are supposed to be coming together. It's a very critical period in our history, I could say, because whosoever gets in power in government for this 5 years will be the most challenging period in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. This could be worse than when Robinson was in charge.
You're right.
And you need somebody who's decisive, who could command that type of audience, like say everybody having one head coming together to govern this country.
Okay, but so you're talking about leadership. What about the people who are facing the polls, the candidates? Won't you say we also need a stock of competent people?
Right. Now, call and talk about you're bringing in a certain people, you end up like Darrell Smith. But the party has proven that they have brought in a lot of young people, and they was never like Darrell Smith. We have Adam Hussein, we have Padarat, we have Obika, all these people, they prove that are worthy of being young and powerful and have a voice in the parliament also. So we can everybody just so where we have proven that here what the party brought in young people and they proved their worth. They stand up to all the scrutiny and all the criticism of the government. And so what is now we come in and we saying here what? And remember also there was a big and this the Botiwari and all these kind of things. That was the call all the time. Now when the opposition leader doing such thing, everybody had to criticize. The same people who was calling for the removal of these fellas because they was making the party look bad now, come now and opposing the decision that she making. Something is wrong with we as a people.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear another caller. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Yeah, hi.
Firstly, I must compliment you on your program. I listen every Sunday.
No, thank you.
Yes, at this point in time, I'm a UNC supporter. I'm in my 50s. I've lived out under different regimes. Compare our lives during this 4 years, 9 months, as opposed to the People's Partnership. I mean, the delivery of goods and services under the People's Partnership and most of the UNC, it was unprecedented. No new taxes, increasing gas prices, comfortable. I'm also a public servant, and we got an increase. In 2013, we got 40. And it's like they have people to the population. You close down a trend that was earning foreign exchange. Why not restructure? Why did you have to close it down? Honest with the population. Why Trutrin was closed down? Is it to protect yourself and your friends? Ken?
But do you think people are voting on issues, or more people are voting on issues than historically has taken place?
Elections in our country has always been along racial lines. Like I say, I'm 53 years old. I voted for the first time under the NAR. The NAR was Tom, Dick, and Bihari Lal, if you know what I mean. 33 at that time. At the moment, and some people after 63 years of PNM are sold their areas, and they are still suffering and what have you, because their party, the PNM, has caused them to feel like that, and they can't seem to see that. If we could just be educated a little bit in those areas and come out of it and start voting for issues. So our country can move forward. All the time,
especially at a time of crisis. Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ken again.
Yeah.
From the UNC. We are really fighting down no candidate in us. But at least if they're putting a new candidate in the area, we want to know who is the candidate way in front. We can't
made in your first call.
We can't wait for a month. We are fighting down the party.
Yeah. That's what I...
Them melt out like a block ice in the hot sun. Don't worry them. They only just frost.
Okay.
Don't worry them.
All right.
But the UNC, we want to know who you're putting in for we to represent. You can't put up a dog and tell we vote for a dog and a dog is a potong.
Right.
You understand? We are fighting on UNC. That's why we're fighting that.
I understand.
And we have some good debaters in the party. We want to know if they're moving or if they are moving. And if they're moving, your mind to change your mind to do something.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
You don't want to come 2 days before we I take that and go with that.
Well, that's what we heard you to say. Okay. Thank you. That's what we understood you to say in your first call. Good afternoon to you.
The UNC has some really good speakers lined up. Don't put all your eggs in one basket for all the people who are leaving the party. Those people still have a role in the party. They have to serve as mentors. They have to serve as educators and molders and shapers. So Louis, not to say, oh, she's changing all the people and she knows it's going to lose. No. People vote for what they're hearing on the radio and what they're seeing on TV. So I also want to say something, Ken. That gentleman, Robert Sugrum, was a relative of mine that passed away.
Our condolences to
well,
you.
I have to tell you, I was very close with him, but I bumped into him on the bank a few months ago, and he was wearing a bulletproof vest, and I couldn't understand why somebody would do that. In Trinidad, a lot of men wear bulletproof, businessmen wear bulletproof vests. But he was very close with Pastor Coffee, a big church in Trinidad, and I'll just rest that here. All right,
okay, our condolences. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon, Ken.
Hi.
I am joining the debate with respect to the selection of candidates. Right. I would just like to quote from an article on Monday, 7th September. It was election 2015.
2015.
Yeah, so people's choices when it comes to election. And part of the article says there may be a few today, meaning that was in 2015, September 7th. But for the most part, and for the vast majority of us, we go to the polls not to vote for a candidate or any set of policies. We go to the polls today to vote for the party which represents our race. Now, this is Michael Harris's view, and I share this view because I would always remember a quotation by Selwyn Ryan. Politics in Trinidad and Tobago is premised, not hide from that fact. Or some people may say a fact might be a subjective thing. But with respect to announcement of candidates, some people would have their views, but I would prefer that if the candidate is announced the night before the election, people have already made up their mind who they are going to vote for based on race. And which party represents which race they are more connected with. You hear what I say? More connected with. Yeah.
Good. So the race issue remains the dominant issue. So, thank you. So, all the talk about the state of the economy and so on, if you support the PNM, that is not an issue for you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Race is one thing I said. The corridor decides the election, and race doesn't decide the corridor. It's the pedigree of certain people. As I said before, you put Barton Rap in there, he has the kind of respect and following he has in the corridor. And it's a tremendous advantage. Dr. Munial has no sway, he carries no weight in the corridor. He's not liked, he's not trusted. It's not weight, it's this guy's personality. He rubs people the wrong way. Race will decide certain things of the divide. You want to guarantee certain amounts of votes to the race, PNM similar. But the corridor, the marginal seats, character and ability decide those seats. And I said for the third time, you put Barton Varat in here, instead of Dr. Munial, and there's a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We lost that one. 636-7547-227-5739. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kerana. I usually vote UNC, and I'm not going to vote for them in this time. And I'm going to tell you why I voted for them. You see that Caroni issue? That is one thing I'm not going to vote for them, because from 2010 to 2015, they're supposed to fix all some information on the papers that really a Commissioner of State land was talking. And the amount of land they give away and all that kind of thing. And me, I tried to get through a piece of land from Carolina, a rental piece of land that I paid money for and tried to get things done and so and all them things. And that was never fixed right to get it. So I am not going to vote for them at all until the result that Carolina issue and then this issue. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Ken, they call my name? You know what I'm talking about?
Anil Roberts.
I making a call for Bas. I feel Basel and that could make a difference. I'm not criticizing who should go,
But I feel these two people could make a difference.
But you acknowledge as out of their hands, right?
Yeah.
That is in the leader's hands.
Of course. I hope the leader is listening.
Sorry?
I hope the leader is listening.
Well, listening in more ways than one. Thank you.
I listen. I hope the leader is listening.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, Ken, me again.
Yeah.
I just want to quote something from our papers here. One of your pet peeves. Light showers expected today.
Oh, well, you know to put humor into the thing. You have Anne roaring with laughter.
Yes, according to an official from the Office of the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Services, today will be mixed as there will be some light showers.
When I was on my way,
I tell you.
The official said the showers will not be widespread.
Oh.
And temperatures are expected to reach 33 degrees Celsius. There is no need for an umbrella.
Oh!
A drizzle will be Monday, 7th of September, 2015.
2015?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Election day.
That caused an extension.
Yes.
And that was
because of the weather. Yeah. You did well to remind us of that.
Inclement weather. That's right.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. You see, there's so many things we could pull out of that. One of which is weather forecasting. You know, I don't understand. Is one satellite does give you a weather forecast, somebody else could get it right, but we can't. Good afternoon to you. Ooh, what's happening there? Hi.
Hello.
And Ms. Tukey.
Hi.
Yes, Mr.
All the
Belmont.
listeners and callers. Now, to understand the politics, you have to understand the role of the political leader. The political leader don't belong to the executive. The political leader is to take decisions that will take the party into the government. Of the announcing of the candidates is entirely in the political leader hand. Because the timing, you see, the politics is science too, you know. It's only not a thing as Mr. Pandey described it and so on. It is a science. Political leader who support the party have to trust that the political leader will take us there, because that is why the political leader is elected. And when Mrs. DeSister came to the front with no political, what you will call experience as a leader, no track record, she was given 29 seats. After she was so compassionate, so articulate, she removed the VAT on certain items. She refused to bring forward the property tax. And alone, she lost the 11 seats that she gained before. Places like the Eastern counties, places like the three Arima states, places like Borneo West and St. Joseph and Chanapuna and San Fernando West and Tableland. Nobody can answer why it is those seats that they won, they lose some by 4,000. You must get to know why they lose those seats, and then you will know whether the UNC can come back or not. And I am saying, I wouldn't give the whole explanation now. It will take too much of time, but there is a very, very good reason. And this racial voting talk is a myth that went out when Mr. Robinson came out of the party and Carl Phillip went in 81 and got 170,000 votes. PNM was wiped out. And it is PNM, people who wipe out the PNM plus the UNC. And Mr. Pandey, bad leadership, he break up the NAR, and that caused a lot of confusion up to today. I don't know why is he coming forward to cause confusion again. He live his best political days, and he should just pull aside.
Thank you, sir.
Another day I'll explain.
Yeah. Sir, thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Ken. So I say, like Anil say, what onwards, and we leave when we win. We leave in the detractors, and according to the old lady from who just called from Sanwo, we're not taking any tractors. You know, let the tractors and them stay there with their comments. When we win,
Don't come by me for no handout. Onwards to victory.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
I want to build on what Mr. Belmont had said just now.
Mm-hmm.
We had lose the election. Our leader didn't come and address us up in the UNC complex. Apart from that, they promised to do a post-mortem as to why and what was the cause for them to lose the election. 5 years passed, and that never happened. Nobody was held accountable. Nobody was responsible. Nobody gave a reason. Nobody say it was because of this or that. She's yet to apologize for not addressing us.
We have one major interview to do again, and we know you want to hear that. But if you want to call us, 636-7547-227-5739. Let's hear this caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
I want to inform all the UNC candidates on July the 17th, make sure you have all your documents in order and go early to for your nomination day process. Because you know they always have going late. Some of them don't remember all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of our callers reminded me that I promised to deal with this matter of the Dr. Munilal article. And I don't know if how much time we have to deal with that. But as we take this call, okay, we'll have to deal with that after this call. Good afternoon to you.
Ken, good afternoon. What time the name in the candidates?
I am not sure, but there is one report that says it may be at 7:30 today. But
so
that
you couldn't get an email from Canada.
Well, I did better than that. We spoke to the chairman of the party.
They were going on. Today, I cash out $5,000 more. I had a bet with some gentlemen this morning. The bet is very simple. They say the opposition leader naming all remaining candidates today. I bet them $5,000. That is not going to happen. She may name some, but not all.
Okay, well,
and I am
call us tomorrow.
I hope today.
Call us tomorrow and tell us.
Because I telling you, she ain't naming some.
Okay.
And nomination day on all. Take care.
Okay. I find that is a brave gamble, boy. And a big gamble too. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Miss Ali.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Vicky.
Hello.
I read in the Royal Reader book. The dog was crossing the bridge with the bone in the mouth. And he looked down in the river and he see a bigger bone. A dog going with and he dropped his bone, and that is what happened to 2015 election.
The dog and the bone.
They was looking for a bigger bone, comfortable, but he wanted to see bigger where Rowley promised them, and they run for it. Another thing again, my father always, the race is not for the swiftest, but it's for them who endure to the end. And when you have good foot, take in front. She have good foot in the corridor, so she make sure she take in front. Up to now, I ain't seen my candidate, but I know Kamala. I'm voting for Kamala. If she put a dog with a rising sun on it, is that I'm going for? Thank you very much, Mr.
You understand
UNC support.
That says everything, Ann. Okay, one person is saying, if I was a gambler, I would put $5,000 with that caller. So I think the caller who says that he is, his bet is that the leader is not going to name all candidates today. Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
All right, and let's take the break. It's just after 12:30, 12:33. We'll take a break and we come back with someone we've been talking about on the program, and we want to share some thoughts with him. We'll be right back.
Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Cunupia, for all your plumbing and electrical supplies, water heaters, filters and water pumps, plus all parts for Gould, Pentax and Leo pumps. Choose from leading brands such as Cooper, Varma, BTCino, Leviton and General Electric. Call 6 Electrical Supplies Limited of Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Kathy's Cool Spot Enterprises Limited, number 86 Pearville, opposite the TSTT Exchange in Mayaro. We specialize in all types of meats, dry goods, liqueur, beverages, ice, LPG, gas, motor oils, stationery supplies, and photocopying. We also provide rentals of tents and chairs for your every occasion. Come in and take advantage of our specials at reduced prices on liqueur, wholesale and retail. We are open every day, even on public holidays, for your convenience. TT Post services are available here at Spot Enterprises Limited of number 86 Pearville, Mayaro, where our friendly staff will be happy to serve you.
Grand Diamond Hotel invites you to dine in our newest and exquisite grand opening, Chai Thai, LP 12 Golden Grove Road, Piaku. Come and enjoy our authentic Thai and Indian cuisine, and our outdoor terrace would be available from the 22nd of June. We can offer you our indoor and outdoor patio and rooftop restaurant dining. All meats halal. For reservations, call 331-5013-320-1093. Our email.
Talk Your Talk is back. This is Mukesh Baburam inviting you to join me right here on U975 FM for the return of Talk Your Talk from 6 to 9 p.m. Enjoy your favorite segments and feel free to make your comments as we journey together. So join me, Mukesh Baburam, for Talk Your Talk. Talk Your Talk.
It is 22 minutes to the hour of 1 p.m. this day of July. We thank you very much for being with us. We go until 1 p.m. Great music after that. We just want to remind you, of course, we continue discussions every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6 p.m. And Duki, yours truly, this afternoon with Vas and Bharat. Good afternoon, Vas.
Hi, Ken. I didn't hear the program earlier on, so I hope some of the mentions at least were good ones.
Well, I think they all were good, Anna. They were all positive. That if you are made a candidate of the United National Congress, the party will fare better.
You can make a difference.
Especially on the East-West corridor. And I think...
Well, I've been prepared to assist and help in whatever I can.
Right. So that came up for most favorable mention. A few points we want to raise with you. The primary one is, I know we've discussed this before, but now that the election bell has rung, I just want to again refocus on it. What are the election issues? I think the last time we spoke, we asked that, but it bears mentioning again because we are focusing the tape now, the finish line tape.
Well, I think in the 2015 election, Ken, crime superseded everything else as the most important and pivotal issue for citizens of the country. But although crime has not declined in terms of its importance, certainly I think the economy is now uppermost in people's minds as far as the way forward and in terms of how the country will react post-COVID, considering the fact that the rest of the world is going to be in recession. And I think, as I've said before, we are in a situation where we are going to be competing with the rest of the world for very scarce resources, because remember that there is only going to be so much financial capital, there's only going to be so much human talent, investors available, and so therefore we are going to be competing with the rest of the world for those very scarce resources. And the economy and how we run the economy, of course, will determine our revenue streams. It'll determine how we diversify our economy away. It'll determine on the kind of quality jobs that we attract in Trinidad and Tobago. It will determine how we keep our young graduates here as opposed to other parts of the world. So the economy is paramount now. May not be in granular detail what's uppermost in most people's minds, but the reality is for leaders, that's the most important consideration. So, and again, simple things that we may not... that we may take for granted, like infrastructure and like healthcare facilities. All of those things will require money to be able to run them efficiently and effectively. And we can't continue. The GDP is now way above 70%. It's likely to get probably beyond 80%, despite what the Minister of Finance says with regard to bringing that debt to GDP down. Because the only way you can actually repay the loan at this point in time, because we have no new forms of revenue. So all of those things, to answer your question in a nutshell, makes the economy the most important priority for any government.
The callers today, and there's no big news flash to say this, the callers today, as in other times, they're acknowledging the issues of the economy and crime and so on, but they're all, well, not all, most are suggesting that we're going to go back to this old boogie of race voting. You see any change in that?
Unfortunately not. I think that the country is probably today far more racially polarized than it's been for many a year, and that's on both sides. And it's because there are really no major ideological differences between the two organizations that unfortunately we revert to this common denominator of race when it comes to politics. That's the only thing that can separate the two major groupings in Trinidad and Tobago, and so therefore there is this policy that if vote for me, otherwise you're on Nimakaram or you're whatever it is. And a lot of peer pressure is put on a lot of people to vote according to race. And that's the reality of the situation. But there is a growing number of people in that middle group, not sufficient enough unless there's like the major ingredients exist like it existed in, say, 1986 or in 2010. Unfortunately, most people will revert to racial profiling and racial voting, and they will justify anything on the basis of race.
Two groups of voters, one the middle class and two the youths. I know you interface with a lot of people. What are you hearing from them?
They are the group that feel most challenged with racial profiling and racial voting. And in many instances, I hear from these groups that they're just caught in the middle in determining which group to vote for because of the other. And in many to me, they're unlikely to vote. And I've heard that more this time round than I've heard for a very long time. And I know that clearly a percentage, maybe even a large percentage of those people, when the election fever really comes round and voting and so on is taking place and the discussions have become more vivid and certainly have become the topic of the day. And they go out and vote, but their initial reaction right now is that they can't separate one from the other, and so therefore they don't feel.
I want to go to another.
And let me just also say this. This is not something that you don't know or any of your listeners don't know. Elections are not going to be won in either Laventille or Couva North or Couva South. Elections are going to be won on the 6 or 7 marginal seats. And who safe seat reflects how the marginals will vote to a large extent. And that's a reality because the people in the marginals will look at who you're putting in the safe seats and determine whether, in fact, those candidates are the people they want to have in the parliament of presenting them.
Right. So, therefore, it extends beyond the safe seats. And that's a point I try to make all the time. And I think that's an absolutely strong point. It has nothing to do with the safe seats. It has to do with the ripple effect on the marginal seat.
It's quite a ripple effect. It's not... at the end of the day, the safe seat is one way or the other. As I say, on either side, it's one. Candidate will make it. So, for example, just to say the PNM has just recently put Keith Scotland in one of the Port of Spain seats. Okay, now Keith Scotland is nationally and regionally recognized as an attorney of prominence. That will have, whether we like to believe it or want to believe it or not, that's the reality. You understand? And so therefore, those are that's what we talk about when we say having a ripple effect. People want to see that in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, there's a certain caliber of person who can represent them and who can also make them proud if and when that person has to go abroad to represent Trinidad and Tobago at an international conference or in the months, maybe regionally or internationally. They want to, and I'm talking about that group in the middle. They want to have a sense of pride that these are the people representing them, but also they want to know that the people in the Parliament clearly can understand and articulate a perspective that is good for Trinidad and Tobago, and they have to have some kind of academic rigor. They must have some kind of experience behind anybody, and say, okay, I put them in a safe seat, they win the safe seat, and they now become a member of Parliament. And of course, they can't speak 2 words in Parliament.
Yes.
Or they can't prosecute how we sit and how we sit within with context like FATCA and so on. You have to have people who can debate these things and who can understand not just the context in which they're discussing it, but the repercussions of those discussions and how we are seen as in the international in the international scheme of things.
So
by the rest of the world.
Yeah. So it ends on some measure of experience.
Of in the old days, if you look back, even say go back to, and you look at the Parliament and the caliber of people that comprised both sides. Okay, from the days, say my father was in Parliament in the 60s with Kapil Dev and Jamada and Lee Kwai and Kapil Dev and Simbunat Kapil Dev and all of those people, and even on the other side with Williams and his grouping, and coming down even into the 70s and so on. And you now look at what passes, really and truly.
Yes.
You then get a sense of why our value systems have deteriorated so significantly, and why our behavior has deteriorated to the point where it is as a country.
And we're also hearing, it has been finalized, we will be able to comment more definitively soon, that some of the more experienced debaters are also being replaced. So that
now, again, I don't have a problem with replacing people, but who's better than they are. You've got to have a reason for replacing them. It can't be that you replace them because they have an opinion. You understand? I mean, why would you want to replace if in fact it's so, and the story in The Guardian is correct, why would you want to replace a man like Fazal Karim, for example, who was an excellent, whilst we were in government, he's been an excellent MP as far as I'm aware. He's never been accused or, and in the NER, most of the financial bills, as far as I'm aware, in the Parliament in the last 5 years, left with a paucity of talent just for the sake of.
If you file nomination papers to be considered as
for the longest while, I can tell you that when the leadership of the organization wants you to participate, they will call you and let you. Many instances, many recently brought from the COP, the day before, she was a COP the day before, and the UNC the following day. You think she filed nomination papers? So the point I'm making is that it's not a question of filing, is that you get a call from the leader to put in your papers, and that process, and they're elected as the candidate for the area. Problem where if you knew that you're not going to select a person of the capacity or stature of a Dr. Tiwari or him, or someone who's operated at most senior levels of government, they've been cabinet ministers and so on and so forth. They've been senior members of Parliament. If you know you're not going to select them, and these things are known, right, by those who are making the selection, through this humiliation, we don't intend to select you. We may have another role for you, but don't put yourself through this kind of humiliation, just out of respect for the service that they.
And we are in a city protest in the country. Give us your thoughts.
Well, Ken, this is not a new problem. This is a problem that is just below the surface for a long time, and there are no quick fixes to this issue. There are endemic problems in these areas. They've arisen over the years for many, many reasons. At a cost of $1 million, and it was regarding that. And there were other reports prior to that in previous incarnations of government where reports, mostly the cracks have just been papered over or plaster has been put on or so. But it's not resolved the problems. And these are deep-rooted problems that have stemmed from whether it's lack of opportunity or whether it's deliberate these communities over the years. The reality is to deal with it, because people like myself and others who consider themselves to be relatively well off and comfortable, and yourself and others in the middle class, can't live comfortably whilst there are people out there who don't have, or who don't have a way of acquiring what they see and what they like. Because it's easy to say, Ken, well, why don't I go and get a job? But, just take one example. You might have a young man who has come from a home, and I've seen this personally, who's come from a home where he is one of 4 or 5 children from field basis. So he therefore leaves school at the age of 11 or 12. He's unable to spell. He's even unable to read properly. And then, of course, he finds refuge in possibly a gang on the corner because he goes and he sees a guy with a nice sneaker. He says, "Where you get that sneakers, boy?" He says, "Well, look, all you have to do is do so, go and rob that man, pull that chain off. You could buy your sneakers." And so it's incremental. You know, I say to people, you take any child and you put that child into an environment like that, and it's more than likely that child will grow up like the people around him in that environment, the environment in which he or she is brought up. So as I come back to this story. So you have a situation now, that child reaches 16, 17, 18, and all he or she knows is he has to find food or he has to find money to buy the things that he or she likes, and he has no way of getting it other than taking it from somebody else. Now that sounds horrible, but that's the reality of what we face, and we've got to confront it. We have to deal with it. And just another report or plastering over this sore is not going to, or launching a program giving them money like we did in Color Me Orange and so on, is not going to work. It's a temporary fix, and essentially you're just kicking the can down the road. Some real work with those communities, and we may have lost several generations already, okay? But we have to look to the future because these communities are going to continue producing like a factory. These children who come out as errants, in many cases through no fault of their own, and we cannot just turn a blind eye and hope that they don't cross our paths and do something to us.
Yes, indeed.
You understand?
Yes.
And it's you're always dealing with a powder keg in this situation, where one day all you require is the smallest of triggers to see what happened in Port of Spain last week. So a lot of work needs to be done in those areas, Ken. And as I said, as a society going forward and as a country moving forward, we have to take real leadership in these issues, take the bull by the horns, and get in there and do some meaningful long-term work. It's not going to be resolved by a report that's going to come out next week, and then we say, right, we do so to put a swimming pool in, and that's the end of the story.
It will continue to fester, yes.
Yeah,
Vast,
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time and your insights.
Always my pleasure, Ken.
Yeah, thank
Always.
you so much, yes. We're heading to the 5 p.m. hour.
Be here later than I should be.
I was going to...
to the 1 p.m.
At 1 p.m. Good afternoon. Hi.
Hello, raise your voice, please.
I am the person who has been advocating for that gentleman who just spoke.
Okay.
You see the standard of the man, the character. Yeah? You put that man inside in the corridor. Remember what I was telling you? Yeah? The statehood of the man, stateliness. Even the dog is disciplined, dog barking in the background. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We're heading to 1 p.m. If you want to engage us very briefly as we head to 1 p.m. Good afternoon to you. Quickly. Yeah, thanks.
Just told me he was a lion for Trinidad and Tobago. I wanted to know what become of that and why he not appointing himself as a political.
Okay, thank you. So divisive we are as a people. We're heading to almost 1 p.m. In fact, Captain Kendall is here to take over. Briefly, good afternoon.
When is they announcing the candidates, right?
Oh, this evening we're hearing.
This evening.
We
don't have a time.
Yeah, we thought that the party would have utilized us to share that information. So
You
I
must say
could
after
share it with
lunch.
you.
When is after lunch? Between 12 and 1 is lunch, right?
Yes, he said after lunch, the chairman.
After lunch. It depends on what time you're having lunch. We are not.
Approximated time that
I don't know, sir. The short answer is I don't know. The party hasn't
We
said.
don't know.
What we will try to do is get the information, and we would ask you have it clear. Good afternoon. Quickly.
Mr. Kedali.
Yes, sir.
Nomination is only 70. People jump on about, but nomination is only 70 and more. They don't make up the mind who they voting for already in terms of part. So people get to know if like it's some nomination is tomorrow.
Let me say I got run here quick. I wasn't aware that Prakash Ramadan not entering electoral politics anymore. Second point is
So what you needed to
You should have been listening to us.
Well, I mean, isn't it evident that anyway.
No, who they told your program a while ago, no? That's how I do it
So
now.
you don't have a sense that he's not involved anymore? That he is not a member?
Well,
Anyway, make your point very quickly.
All right, yeah. Well, if Mrs. DeSessa, with this young, inexperienced team going into Parliament, if she gets sick or some demise happen to her, who is going to take over the reins as the political leader of this party?
Somebody would have to answer that.
I am sure. Right now, Mr. Pandey and Mekela, they must be smiling. With all these experienced politicians she's about to discard.
Right.
I'm sure they're going down Pandey way. Thank you very much.
As we go, we thank Michaela Pandey, we thank Peter Kanhai, we thank Vasan Bharat. We've got to go. We thank you very much for being with us from 10 to 1 on behalf of Ann Duki and Shiva Parasram. We thank you so much. Captain Kendall is next with great music as we get information, if we do, about the UNC candidates. We know you have great interest. We'd ask our colleagues to make the announcement for you. Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again for being with us. A great afternoon, and stay tuned, of course, with great music throughout the afternoon and evening.